This is episode 167 of the Double Cross Anime podcast. I'm Whooper, and here's Mario.
Hello, everyone.
We're here with our first episode about 2024, our second time recording in this new calendar year. But it's our first time talking about anime that have released in this year. We've got 10 shows, as always, from the new
Mhm.
season. We're going to go through them alphabetically and rank them 1 through
Yep.
10 rather than rate. We're going to rank them. And
hmm
we'll see whether Mario and I feel the same way about this crop of shows. Personally, I feel as though 5 of them are worth watching. Of the 10 that we've selected, 5 are
Yep.
worth watching, and 5 I hope to forget as soon as possible. I don't know how you're feeling. How are you feeling about these
Uh,
shows and about this season?
I'm kind of mixed as well. So I watched the 10 shows that on our list. Oh, by the way, by 10 show we have like 9 new show and one continuing.
Oh
Just
yes,
to clarify it.
yeah.
And I watched a few more as well. And the experience has been up and down, hot and cold.
Okay,
So yeah, some I feel really engaging, and some just maybe not for me. And I think that's extend to the 10 show that we're going to talk about as well.
right. Okay. Well, mixed on it is I suppose how I feel. It's less of a mix and more of like a like uh, polar opposites, I guess, a complete divide or separation
Hmm.
between the ones that I like and the ones that I don't.
Yep.
But I suppose that when you step back and look at it from a bird's eye view, that would be a mix.
Yep.
Um,
And there's one in particular that I didn't really like it at first, but you know, I watched it like it's one of the first show that I watched for this one, and now, like yesterday when I do the ranking, I think back about it, and I yeah, and like I remember more positive thing about that than my first initial reaction. So you know,
Interesting. I wonder.
my
I
opinion
wonder
changed
which
as
show
well.
that is. I think I actually have a prediction about which show that might be out of these 10.
Hmm. We get into that
Yeah, we can get
very
into it right
soon.
now.
Yeah, that's right.
All
All
right.
right.
Well,
So
I have the shows listed here alphabetically, so I assume that
mhm,
your first show on this list is also Bucchigiri. Is that right?
yep, that's correct.
Okay. I'm gonna guess that this is the one actually,
Oh wow, that's a bold guess,
where
but
you.
it was correct. Yes.
Yes. Nice.
Bucchigiri.
All right. Well, personally, I really appreciated this episode as soon as I watched it, or my experience watching it the first time. I was like,
Yeah.
this is cool. Um, it's by Hiroku Utsumi, who also directed Skate the Infinity at Bones. She's at a different animation studio this time, but the look of the show is very, very, very similar, which I
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And it's just
I
very colorful and silly.
I I enjoy the retro look the show has. It like it looked like something that we watched like back in the 90s, 80s,
You
and
think?
I think so. Yes.
Just because there are
Like all
delinquents in it?
delinquents, yes, and many of the character design as well. But it also remind me a lot of Skate the Infinity, which I think is a plus.
Yeah.
The story itself, I'm not buying it at all. It a lot of silly, like
Oh, that's what's so good about it, dude.
yep, yep. That's what I realized.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that was I realized when I'm like ranking them. I think like I think I can get behind on the series. Like the girls who the boy had the girls to be like having a product complex. Yeah, I'm buying that.
Yeah.
All that.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
it's there's the brother complex, but at least it's not, it doesn't exist between siblings who are like a decade apart in age.
Mm-hmm.
They're both high schoolers, I assume.
Yep.
Yeah, they are. Because he's the head of like a different high school. I didn't write the names of the schools that the various, characters attend, but you hear in conversation with with some of them who attend different high schools. They're like, "Oh, hey, aren't you from such and such?" Maybe it
Mm,
was the scene at the arcade where the so the only person whose name I know for sure
yep,
is Arajin, the main character, and Marito, the green-haired guy who beats him up.
yep,
So I
yep.
don't
All
remember
right.
the name of the really tall, like Arito's or Arajin's childhood friend who's really tall and strong. Who's that
All
guy?
right. I have that on my list here.
Okay, nice.
Matakara.
Matakara. Okay,
Hmm.
so Matakara. Well, I just lost my train of thought. Why was I? Why did I need to know his name? Oh yes, his two friends. The one who wears the skirt and the one who has the like the crazy bluish greenish hair. When they
Yep,
take Arajin to the arcade, and the like three guys in white school uniforms come up behind Arajin.
yep.
They're like, "Oh, we're from such and such a school, and we don't recognize. Your uniform looks like it's not from this school or this school, but from that one." So you gotta assume that's gonna be part of the plot of the show is that different characters from different high schools will be battling it out,
Sure.
and
Yep,
but he has a Jin on his side,
yep, yep.
which is kind
And
of
what?
unfair.
Yeah, and yeah. So the power that our main character Arajin has is, like I'm not entirely sure that like he has the skill before, or like it's combined to Senya power that he kick Maritos. Like he can punch him in the face and all that. I think it's like the combination of both.
Well, I don't think he has any power like on his own. He just has like a hidden like vengeful and violent side to his personality.
Hmm.
And perhaps
Because
in a flashback where Arajin remembered seeing his friend whose name I've already forgotten, Matakata,
Matakara, yep,
Matakata. Oh God,
yep,
Matakata, Matakata. When he sees Matakata being beaten up by some other kids, I'm guessing that what happened in the part of the flashback that we didn't see is rather than like staying hidden or running away, he emerged and like beat the shit out of those kids. Um,
mm,
and that's why Matakata no like keeps saying over and over, "Oh, Arajin, I really admire him. He's strong and stuff," because he knows about that part of his personality. Now, though, it's combined with the power of the Jin that he gains when he accidentally fires a spirit bullet into his forehead or his temple.
all right, yep. Yeah, but they was as a kid training as a something like they have a term for that. They training to become like one
Oh
of
yeah,
the
it's like
powerful.
Hondai or Hodai
Yep,
people, something like that.
yep. So I reckon that Arajin, like he himself has some skills. He just doesn't want to like be a part of that anymore. And
Hmm.
now he got stuck to Senya, and then he got stuck to like all the school fighting, because I think there are like two faction of the school that always fight, and there's other the school as well. So like all the school battles, so to
Right.
speak.
Yeah, like typical delinquent stuff. But I mean, I think
Yep,
this is just Utsumi like acknowledging publicly that she is a like a delinquent fan, but she's
yep,
gonna put a supernatural twist on it and modernize it, and
yep,
do it her way, which is cool
yep,
because the
yep.
delinquent subgenre could probably use an update. I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of purists out there who uh,
Just run an old school.
yeah, they just want exactly they want it old school. They don't see a need for it to be updated because they really love it the way that it once existed. And I understand that, but I think that she's very stylish, very talented director. I don't always like the the work that she produces like on the whole, but I think she
Hmm.
herself is somebody to watch.
Yep. The way you framed it, she's someone who to watch.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, if she's going to come out with a new show, I'm going to pay attention.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
but like Skate the Infinity, for example, just went completely insane. This show, however, like is it has a it's like supernaturality is built into the premise of it. The idea that
Mm,
there are people who exist in these legends who are essentially jinn, or the I guess the Western term would be genie, like Aladdin,
mm,
and
mm.
that's where Arajin's name comes from, is the Japanese pronunciation of Aladdin,
Yep,
Aladdin,
yep.
Arajin. Um, like the fact that there are genies or jinns in the show already, and that the characters are so much more crazy and unhinged, like on their face, on the
Mm,
surface, means that the show can go to crazier places without just becoming like a parody of itself, because it's already so nuts. Whereas Skate the Infinity was, you know, it kind of jumped the shark.
well, yeah, I agree. But compare the first episode of this one and the first episode of Skate Infinity, I would still, like prefer the latter
Huh. I
because it
I
had a
might.
very promising premise. This one as well, but it's not for me. It's not as original as the skating uh word that that we saw.
I'd be hard pressed to decide between the two. I think I do remember, liking the first episode of Skate the Infinity, and I remember loving, absolutely loving the second episode for whatever reason. I remember blogging it, and the second episode, I think one of the things that stuck out to me, I believe, thinking 3 years ago, was the relationship between the blue haired guy and his mother. She was a single
Oh,
mom, and I think
right.
there's a scene maybe in that second episode where they sit across the table from one another and have like a heart to heart conversation about him like getting back into extreme sports in this new town. And she's not sure if that's what he ought to do, but she wants to support him.
Mm,
And
mm,
the friendship between the two main characters is really great at the start of that show, especially.
mm,
So I did note that in this, both of the main characters in Skate the Infinity have good relationships with their mom, from what I recall. And in this show
mm,
too, Arajin he's more angsty, and
mm.
like kind of like, "Oh, shut up, mom." But all the same, we get some good mom representation in this show,
Yep.
because his mom is like, she's cute, she's fun.
And
She's like supportive of his dream to get a girlfriend.
yep, she can tell right away his reaction by his reaction as well.
Right? Yeah. She says, "Were there any cute girls?" She takes one look at her son's face,
Oh,
and she's like, "Oh,
yeah,
so there were."
yeah, that is nice. And even to him when Arachi asked him what he like the one wish that he want to do, and he just said like, yeah, I want to lose my virginity.
Yep.
Yep,
He's an honest kid.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
So
if you asked most boys his age what their number one wish is, like in with the guarantee of like anonymity or privacy, most of them would probably say have sex.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
I mean, Bucchigiri rather is onto something there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Yep. So I originally put it last, but I have a change of heart.
Oh my god, how could you have put it last with so much shit in these 10 shows? That's crazy to me. The production alone is near the top of the group.
Yep, yep. I agree with you on that.
So
Uh,
I put it,
yeah.
I'll just say I put it third. What'd you end up putting
I
it?
All right. I put it seventh.
Okay. I know that you have a strong aversion to delinquent anime, so not bad.
How we fare on the next one then? Let's go and see. Dungeon Meshi
Yes. So
on
this is
the
one where I actually
research in
wrote
dungeon.
down the names of the four main characters.
Right,
And I won't have to be
right.
like Matakara, Marataka, like that. I know the names.
Yep, yep. All
What did you
right.
think about this
First,
episode?
I enjoyed the whole way through, but I just feel that when it start as like something very urgent because Lilos is that lies how I don't know how to spell his name.
Laios. You're talking about the main
Lios.
guy who's dressed in like a knight's armor,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, that's right. Lios, sisters, being captured by the monster, and she might be, get eaten by that monster. Because the last thing that he saw is that like she was in the monster mouth. So like there's some kind of really urgent thing that's he need to come back to the dungeon and rescue her. And it mixed with like this guy just like finding the food in the dungeon and enjoy eating. So it kind of clash between that. But apart from that, I thoroughly enjoyed the episodes.
Yeah, I kind of felt similarly that there wasn't a strong connection between those first few minutes and then the rest of the episode where they're just kind of the priority seems to be uh, use monster ingredients to cook some yummy dungeon
Yep,
meals.
yep, yep,
And
yep,
I mean, they the three remaining members of the party because two of them resign right away after, being after facing off against the dragon and just escaping by the skin of their teeth. Two of them
yep,
resign, so all that's left is Laios, Marcil, the elf, and
yep,
Chiruchaku, Chilchuck, the pickpocket.
yep,
And I
yep.
really, I do think the character designs in this show are pretty strong.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like Chilchuck has his big kind of monkey-looking ears,
Yep,
uh, and he's like just the right height, so that
yep.
he's not like a little baby boy, but at the same time he's short enough that he you can it makes sense that he'd be a pickpocket. Like he's kind of hard to spot. He might be evasive, and when he gives like a sarcastic quip or something, the fact that it's coming
Hmm.
from somebody smaller kind of makes it hit harder. Like
Yep.
he's not on your level in terms of height, but even he can see that you're being a dumbass. Um, and
Yep.
Marcel has a very cute design. I like the way her hair is braided and the color scheme, the like red, yellow, blue primary colors used for her character.
All right. Which
Um,
one you prefer then? Masil or Frieren to
uh,
F?
Frieren,
All right.
in terms of like the
All
the design, Frieren, I think. I
right.
mean that preference probably just comes though from the fact that Frieren is like more naturalistic.
Hmm.
I think it's
Right.
I think it's interesting to explore the idea of
I
elves like without I don't know, making them too beautiful or making them too elegant. Frieren is
I
just like her own
yeah,
person.
I do think though, like of the anime version of Elf usually is a beautiful young girl. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
that's the very first install that I thought watching, like this bang. Uh like shutting out, like we start to know like who and what kind of race they are, and it just fit neatly into like the archetype that that we always watch in anime version.
Yeah. Yeah, elves I think are like they're taken from western fantasy. And I mean
Hmm.
western fantasy authors probably took them from uh folklore, like Celtic or Irish
and
or
and,
something
and
like
Lord
that.
of the Rings.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like where Tolkien got the inspiration.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, in any case, yeah, I mean they're more of a Western thing, and when Japan saw that, they were like, oh yeah, okay, so we're gonna do elves too, but of course they're all gonna be cute girls because this is Japan.
Hmm.
But I mean,
Yeah.
Marcel, she's a fun character. She's like skeptical about all the different dishes
See,
cooked up by
see the
Senshi.
yeah, see the straight man out of like uh the whole the whole other team member who like don't seem very reluctant to eat monster meat.
No, I wouldn't say she's the straight man. I mean, she has the most exaggerated reactions to stuff.
That is true.
She's
Yes,
just
yes,
like the
yes.
skeptic. about the food. I kind of feel like Chilchuk is the straight man.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's something that I thought about as I was watching. Laios, the knight, he just
Yeah.
kind of seems like a normal guy. He kind of has straight man energy, but the
Mhm.
thing is, I actually think he should be written to be a little bit more like nerdy and passionate and obsessive as a counter
Mhm.
to Marcille. Like she is thoroughly anti monster meal, and so he ought to be a little bit more towards the other extreme. But he just kind of
Yeah.
seems like the total, like Laios seems like the completely reasonable, level-headed guy who just wants to eat monsters. And
Yeah.
honestly, that is gross sounding. So I feel like he should be a little more exaggerated too.
Yeah,
Uh,
but the thing is, he planned that idea, but it was Sensei, the dwarf
yeah,
who like join the gang and do all the cooking, and like he actually my favorite character so far because the his dedication to eating monster meal is unparalleled.
yeah, yeah. And the thing is, I mean, it's Laios' sister who's in the belly of that dragon that they fought
That's true.
in the opening minutes. But given the direction that the show is headed in, which is to be like very food based and a little bit slice of life ish, Senshi
Hmm.
actually has the motivation that makes the most sense because he
Yeah,
wants to reach the basement where the dragon is so he can kill it and cook it and eat it.
yeah, yeah,
And since
yeah.
this is a food show now, it's actually Senshi who he's the one to follow rather than Laios.
I agree.
So yeah, yeah, it makes sense that you would consider him to be the best character. I mean, he's the least insane. Uh,
Oh,
he's the smartest, the most talented, the strongest probably.
the most experience as
Yeah,
well
and the best cook.
because he done that before. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He got the like first thing he came to the guys and he said like, oh, what are you planning to cook? Oh, right, your pot is a bit too small. Let's try my pot.
I don't even remember
And
this scene.
yeah, and he put out like the big bag, the big ass pot for everyone to eat.
That I kind of remember. And then he like takes the lid off, and the lid is also huge,
Yep, 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 yep,
something like
yep,
that. Yeah,
yep.
yeah. I don't have perfect recall on every scene from this show because even though I do like the designs, the color scheme, the fact that it's a fantasy that doesn't involve anybody dying and getting their soul getting transported to another plane of reality. Uh, it's just fantasy show. It does have the cooking twist and all
I
that, but it's normal ish.
well,
I like that stuff about it, but at the same time, like I don't know, it's all right.
I I would definitely say that this is one of the fan service show. The way that like it glamorized all the food, like food porn.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, they have like all the ingredient and like the character just I would say that the whole bulk of the rest of the show would be they meeting new people, the new people joining in, and they kill new monster. They have like the new recipe for eating, like all over again. And this like the food, I also realized that it's heavily Japanese.
Yeah, the
All the
hot
food
pot
that the
was the
hot
first
pot
dish.
and yeah, and they're thinking of doing uh the oh my god, that the name escaped me. The thing that have the octopus in there.
Takoyaki?
Takoyaki. Yeah, I think they mentioned something about it. Takoyaki.
I mean, it was probably brought up at some point.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's the food definitely looks good.
I
Those
agree.
particular like still frames or those shots where the dish has been completed and then it's kind of like set out on little plates or whatever, and then the title card or the name card pops up with the name of the dish, and you can
Hmm.
tell like extreme effort and precision has gone into that frame because it just
Yeah.
looks so much better than at any other point. Those That looks great, and the characters are fun, but I just feel like something is missing from this show.
Uh,
I don't know how much of
right.
that has to do with the fact that Laos's sister is like currently being
Yeah.
dissolved in the acid, like the stomach acid
Uh,
of a dragon, and they're all just kind of
yeah.
chilling and not feeling
Yeah.
too urgently about that. I don't know if that's the problem or if
Yeah.
it's something else.
Ima- Imagine that, like they just assume that the dragon will eat her whole, like just swallow her,
Well,
and
that
they
is their assumption, and that she's currently in. There's like dialogue about, oh, I wonder how fast she's going to be dissolved, or how long it'll take the dragon to digest her.
yeah, but that's the thing, right? Because the dragon might just like crush her, like use the teeth to crush her before like swallow, or just you know
Right.
she's she could have died before being
Yeah.
swallowed, which
Yeah,
which
that's true. I
would
think
even
there's
make more
just an
sense.
assumption on the show's part that because she was in the dragon's mouth, that it will swallow her while she's still alive. But
Yeah, yeah,
like it hardly even matters because the point of
yeah,
the show is just that they're going to explore the dungeon and eat
and
food.
yeah, and I watched the ED, which they have the whole tons more of character as well.
Yeah, and they're
So,
giants.
oh yes,
I mean, in all
so
those shots, the first like 7, 8 shots of the ED where they were all different characters, they were all giant sized, and there were always like little tiny characters, like on a mountain or in a field or something, for scale to show how much bigger
yeah,
I
and
didn't understand the reason for that, but it was cool. Plus, it was Bump of Chicken, the band, doing the
yeah.
ED, who I like,
Yeah.
so that was nice.
I would say that the some of the comic timing in this in the episode is actually quite good as well. Like remember the scene where the mushroom monster just chased down some of the new guys, and Matthew just like casually tap it on the head.
Yeah, and it falls over.
It's the
Yeah,
good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love that.
that is a nice scene because it demonstrates that the party is strong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So you don't the focus can just be on cooking. You don't have to worry about if they're going to survive or if they're going to make it back down to the dragon. They're strong enough that the show can just kind of take it easy.
yeah. All right. So I reckon that you are more mixed about the show than me.
Yeah, it seems like I'm more mixed, but I still put it fourth.
I put it first.
First?
Yep.
Did you say first?
Yep.
Number one?
Number one.
Okay.
You heard it right. Yes.
I thought maybe you said fourth because
Yeah.
those
First.
two expressions kind of sound similar.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Very
All
nice.
right. On to the next one, which is Hime-sama.
Yeah. Hime-sama
Goumon.
Goumon no Jikan desu.
Yep.
'Tis time for torture, princess. Another food-based show, at least in this
I
first
agree.
episode. But
Yeah.
I would say, you know, not as good.
Right. You go first.
I mean, just generally.
I would say I still enjoy the joke, and I think we mentioned this before, but this show remind me a whole lot of the Sleepy Princess,
I
which
mean,
kind of like having the same premise, and I don't know if they come from the same creators.
no, they
Right.
don't. And I mean, that's that. When I first like looked at the chart, the seasonal chart, I immediately I saw this, read the synopsis, and I was like, "Oh, Sleepy Princess." But you know, I just like Sleepy Princess too much. So
I
Majo
agree,
de
and
Oyasumi. So this doesn't really live up to it, in my
yeah,
opinion.
well, the Sleepy Princess, I also remember that I like the first episodes, but I think that the premise gonna be too teen, because we basically have the same formula, time 3 each week and time 12 for the seasons. But the Sleepy Princess somehow, like, avoided that.
Well, it's because
Uh,
she kept escaping from her cell and went to new and interesting places every episode. In this one,
yeah,
she's trapped in her cell, and people have to come to her, and they keep bringing her food over and over again. And I read a few
yeah,
chapters of the manga, so I know that eventually they start to bring her different stuff, and eventually she will leave her cell. But for now, there's just seems
yeah.
to be less potential just because she's locked into a fixed location.
All right. I think on the Japanese based food that I mentioned earlier in Dungeon Meshi, where that come from, because this one as well,
Yeah,
who
this
have
is the
like,
one where takoyaki is
yeah,
a huge deal.
takoyaki and ramen and
Yep.
all that. Yes.
Yeah, and
Yep, yep,
toast
yep.
was the third. I mean, it was the
Yeah,
first of the different foods that they tempt her with to extract secrets about, you know, uh, the army of light or the human army or whatever, whoever it
yeah.
was that she fought for before she was imprisoned. Yeah, the toast, just a simple piece of toast. She the
With cheese.
yeah, it ends up she ends up having a toast party,
Yeah,
like getting a whole bunch of different kinds of toast with different like honey and jam and cheese and butter and all that. But she doesn't know that she's going to get any of that before she uh, coughs up the secret. So it's
yeah,
ultimately she betrays her army and her country, I suppose, just for a piece of toast, like a singular piece of
yep,
toast, which is insane. It's
yep.
just crazy.
I think that's the point that,
Yeah,
Uh, I actually think that it was a really good job with some really good timing, good pun as well. Like she gave away her the state the secret just for a P of those, and the demon who do all the torture. It just like it as far away as taught her as we know, like just provide her some good meal so that she will spill the beans. So I like the premise well, no? But even like in this first episode, it feels repetitive already,
yeah, yeah. I felt the same. I had almost nothing to write about this one. I wrote fewer like little bullet points about this episode than any of the other 10 shows, or
Yeah.
other nine, I should say. So
Yeah, all right. So she had a pea of those first, and then she had ramen. What is the last one?
takoyaki was second, and ramen was last.
Ah, I see. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the order of those three things is one of the only points I bothered to write down. There was also the scene after the ED. I don't know if you caught it.
I don't think so. No. All right.
Okay, so the cold open is her like defeating. Was it a dragon or something?
Yeah.
Some demon monster type thing.
Uh-huh.
Because she's like a warrior princess and she's leading her army. So she defeats the monster and then she stands on top of a little cliff and she goes ah, and her troops say, "Oh yeah, it's like a battle cry, a cry of victory."
Hmm.
Um, so then cut to her being in a cell and the rest of the episode plays out. So then ED and then circles back. So this is the very end.
Hmm.
It turns out that her like that battle cry was actually a cry of pain because her stomach hurt. That's it.
Okay.
But I thought for sure they were going to be like, oh, this is how she got captured. Nope, it was not that. It was just, oh, it wasn't actually a battle cry. It was uh, her stomach hurty, so she yell.
All right.
I was like, meh. When I saw the post ED scene, there was going to be a post ED scene. I was like, okay, what is this gonna do? Turns out nothing. So,
Yeah.
boo.
Got I also enjoy the Torture character's name because her name is Tortura.
Right. Yeah.
It's it's it cannot be more like on your nose than that.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, though, whenever there's a an English-based pun like that, you got to figure for Japanese people, it's not quite so on the nose because they have to go
Yeah.
through the mental like leap of processing what the English word means. So it probably hits a little bit differently for them. But
Yep. So, yep.
yeah,
While I still enjoy the episode, I don't think that this is like one of the show that I will go back to. So I put it at 8.
for me it was number 9.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I wonder if we're gonna be differ on the next one. So let's go Macho to Yajuu, the Witch and the Beast.
Yeah. Where is this set again? Is it England or I can't remember.
Oh, that that actually a good point because I don't even know where it's at. Like it was the CD that they just combined.
Yeah, it looked like a European. Uh, I don't know what exactly. I don't know if I need to say like Edwardian or Victorian or what era of British history we're talking about here. But it looked like a British city in the 1700s,
Yep,
1800s.
yep,
But I don't know if it's set in the real world or if it's like a fantasy world that doesn't have clear names for things.
yep,
In any case,
yep,
I don't know. I thought this was pretty meh.
yep, yep. I figured that this is not one of the show that you would like, but yeah, I kind of dig the idea. So we again, I think this is like very often that we have like two of the main characters. I think we have another show like that as well, who's like on the uh on on their trip to look for the witch. With us, we don't know what the reason behind that. We just know that the girl, she actually really keen to, like to fight against the witch.
Right.
Uh, um, and then we have like a some sort of a girl who I think she's like a false lead for the episodes because I don't think we're gonna see her ever again. She being uh the uh the
You're talking about the
genius,
witch,
no, the witch
her apprentice.
apprentice. Yes, that's right.
Oh yeah. Well, I doubt we'll ever see her character again. I mean, her design was also very plain,
All right.
so they didn't
Yep.
put a lot of effort into it, which means we probably won't see it again. She just existed as like the innocent who ends up being. It's like a real easy way for the show to drop a dime on the witch and be
Hmm.
like, just kidding, they actually are evil. You can do that by
Yep.
this putting this little girl who really believed in the witch with everything she had. All of
Yep.
a sudden, her feet are cut off, and she's trapped in like a
Yep.
little magic sphere.
Hmm. Waiting
Yeah,
to be summoned. You know.
yeah. Well, she was going
Uh.
to be used as a power source, I think,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
for so that the witch could unleash like the hellfire that was sealed away 417 years ago by her great 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 grandmother or something. It was yeah. So it's a show about witch hunting,
Yep. I
and
actually like the way that they established, like how to break the curse, like having a two kids from their prince charming. Uh, if the witch herself doesn't want to, to do the curse anymore, and then they add like the third condition, the third twist to that, and it actually like when I heard about that, I just my first reaction was that it's nonsense.
you can
You
be
know,
the one to kiss the witch.
yeah, you
The
can be the one who
witch's
kissed. Yeah.
So the witch's
Well,
kiss is just as effective at dispelling a curse as the kiss of a like what is the implication there in terms of magic? So a kiss from somebody who you share mutual love with is just as powerful. So like love, I guess, or uh, romantic affection, whatever, is just as powerful as what
you random,
surprising
but
a
but but
witch, like the
but
element of
the thing,
surprise.
yeah, but the thing is, even like with that last kiss, uh it's just temporary as well. It's not it doesn't have like the permanent effect to lift the curse. That's what I learned. So they already break the rules and they already they put on all the limits on onto that. It's just a bit. Oh,
Huh.
yeah.
I don't really know what you mean.
I just mean that yeah, the condition, the third condition itself is not really that big the way it's set out to be, and it's fairly a little bit observed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it didn't. It was supposed to be a big twist, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
it did. I mean, I was kind of already checked out of the episode by the time it came around, so it didn't even have the opportunity to surprise me. I was like, oh, cool. All right, they're kissing. Neat.
I like the I actually enjoy the character design, and I think the production is quite well for the first episodes.
Eh, I don't agree.
Yes.
I think the show is not very well directed. I just feel like many of the shots of the city when the characters
Mhm.
first arrive and when they're kind of in that little town square place where the witch saves everybody from that giant shark for some reason. There's a big shark that a guy has
Ah,
transformed himself into. And then there's the
yep.
scenes where they stand around talking to the witch's apprentice as the police are trying to apprehend the shark guy who's turned back into a human. Many of those scenes just feel like they're uh, empty and not there's just no angle to them that tells you anything about the characters, the setting, the plot. You can't glean anything from them. They're just they're just really broad bits of a city with the characters placed somewhere in frame. There doesn't seem to be any like
Mm.
specificity to the style of the show during those moments. I will agree that the character designs are pretty cool though. I especially like the guy with the blue hair who carries around the coffin. His eyes remind me of the character's eyes in Edo Invaded, if you remember that show.
I remember that song. I do.
Like
Yes.
the eyes are kind of thin and wide, whereas
Mhm.
sometimes an anime character's eyes might be a little bit taller to give the eye more space to travel around in. His eyes are like are they're not thin. They're wide, but they're also short. It
Mhm.
gives him
Mhm.
a little bit of an inhuman appearance, which I think is cool.
Yeah. I think the fact that we couldn't tell which cities or which town, I think they did mention that, but I don't even recall that. Speak on how like how you just complain how plan it is, how prot everything is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the if they said what city, country, etc. it is, that's just something that I didn't pay attention to. If that information was there, but yeah, it doesn't. I mean, there doesn't seem to be a lot of personality to the setting. What's more important, I think, to this show and what it wants to communicate is that they're going to be hunting witches. Like, witch is bad,
Mhm.
hunt witch is good. And where it happens, I feel like is not of a lot of consequence to this episode.
Yeah, well, I would figure that the girl that main girls Guideos, she might be one of the witch, right? So we don't I don't even know what her real role is.
She's been
She got
cursed. I don't
cursed,
think she's a witch. She's been cursed by a witch.
right?
And then
Right.
she can use that ability somehow to merge with whatever it is he keeps in his coffin.
Yep.
And then she comes out as like somebody's possessed her body, or she's possessed somebody else's body. I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how that works, but in any case, like they merge together, and she becomes an unstoppable fighting force who's resistant to magic and stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
So cool to me.
yeah, I do get the sense that the show is kind of aiming for that. Like it just wants to be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I didn't. I do like. I didn't get a good sense of who the characters are. I understand that the dynamic between the two main characters, the partners, is that the guy is more, level-headed and reserved, and the girl is more of a hothead. But that there doesn't seem to be anything else to them other than that at this point.
Mm,
We didn't get to learn much about them or even really meet them before they're like, well, we're here to kill some witches.
yeah. All right. I put at fifth, 5 out of 10.
All right, 8 for me. Number 8.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, not the worst. Not the worst of these shows. We will get there.
Yeah, we get there. We get there soon enough. The next one is Meiji Gekken, 1874.
Right. So this is set 6 years after the Bolshin War, which was Japan's civil war, where the
Right.
imperialists overthrew the shogunate and restored the emperor to power. So that was a huge, and in fact, there's a flashback, like a little mini prologue in this first episode, where you see that our main character, what's his name? Something.
Shizuma.
She's yeah, Shizuma. He was fighting on the side of the shogunate because he was part of the
Mm,
Aizu region, and they fought for the shogun, and they didn't want the emperor to be restored to power.
mm.
So his side loses the war, and you see a flashback where his friend is dying, and he's like, "Take care of my sister." I think it's his sister who is also Shizuma's fiance.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah. Y-
isn't that right?
I'm yeah, well, I'm unsure about the fiance part, but
Oh, she's
it
that.
is
That's the part I am sure
it's
of. He says
all right,
fiance.
all right.
Whether
So
she's the sister of the his war buddy who died is what I'm not totally clear on.
yeah. That I'm sure of. So,
Oh, okay. So with our powers combined, we know that she is indeed the dead guy's sister and his fiance.
all right.
Then it cuts to 1874, and then from there, you know, we don't care about the Boshin War anymore. We just care about this.
Yeah,
Like, there's going to be
the
supernatural powers and shit.
yeah. So there's like a new order, and like Shizuma find himself, like just making enemies and still looking for that girl, which we still uh couldn't see, like we still don't know where she is, but we have like some other characters who I assume might be her.
Yeah, there. So it's. I wondered about that. Like, I wondered if one of the I don't know if geisha is the right term or serving women or what you want to call them, but if one of the
Yeah,
women that we saw was Sumie, because I
yeah,
highly doubt that it's the woman who's scheming together with Parks, the British envoy.
yeah.
It's not her, but it could have been like one of the girls playing the what is the name of that instrument? Shamisen?
Hormone. All right,
I think it's
all right,
Shamisen. It could have been
all right.
her, or it could have been one of the other women we saw. I don't know.
Yep,
Or
yep.
maybe it probably wasn't any of them. It just flashed through my
Yeah,
mind like, is that her? Is that her? Is that her?
yeah. The thing is, we get a lot of like moment. It like we get a lot of scenes in that settings, and but apart from that spy girls, we don't get to see any of them yet. We don't get to know any of the good characters.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's by design. Like they just exist to play instruments and bring tea and stuff like that to the male characters. I mean, this is the late 19th century we're talking about.
Yep, exactly. And
Probably just going to be their
we
role. But we'll meet Sumie eventually. I don't know.
yeah, and I think this episode they they just established a lot of characters that
Yeah.
it's kind of hard for me to like to just like get on to that spider web, like who uh, who on that side, and on the development. I a bit confused.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I mean, one main character who you can kind of use as the center of a web character web would
Yep.
be Kyoshiro, the white-haired
Hmm.
guy with the eye patch or whatever. It's not exactly a patch, but he's got something covering his what would it be? His right eye.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And he's the one who goes into the gambling house and throws something at the dealer's ear and knocks down a couple dice that he's got like lodged behind his ear there. And he's
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
he he's like, "Oh, I've exposed you." So then he leaves and they all decide to kill him, and that just results in a big battle scene. But I think he's going to end up being highly significant because he is a
Yep.
character who has a bunch of like powerful warriors serving at his beck and call. So
That's
he'll
true.
he'll
Yes.
be like a major figure on one side or the other.
Yep. Yeah. The thing is, we don't even know which side he's in at the moment,
Yeah, I
and
think that's accurate. Maybe there maybe there was some clarifying dialogue that you might need to be more of like a history buff to understand, but it does
yep.
seem kind of vague so far.
And whether or not Shizuma is will be like in his team or not, because at the end we see Shizuma get promoted to like become
He gets
a
hired
soldier.
essentially
Yeah, 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 that's
as a
right.
cop.
To become as a cop, yes.
Yeah, so
So
he's now that's interesting is that he fought for the
mhm,
Aizu and for the shogun and now he's been hired by the imperial police who work for the emperor.
yeah,
So he's essentially switched sides now that now that the dust is settled.
yeah. But now that we mentioned that, I'm not too sure if he gonna accept that further, or
Well,
maybe he had to
I mean, I think he probably will. That's what this whole first episode seemed to do was like reach
sit
that
up.
point,
Yeah,
so he can be,
yeah,
oh, now I'm a cop. I'm a
yeah, yeah,
supernatural cop.
yeah. So naturally, that would put him the opposite side of Kyoshiro. So yeah,
That
I still don't know what the
I
big
think
game
so.
is, to be honest. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is exactly. Kyoshiro is probably if he's rebel. I took note of the name of the clan that ran the gambling house. They're called the Doyama clan. So then I went on
hmm,
Google and I was like Doyama clan Meiji era just to see if there was a clan by that name. And maybe there was, but I couldn't find it by googling. So the fact that he goes into that specific gambling house and like doesn't have any bearing, I don't think, on his political affiliation. I wasn't able to use that as a clue or anything. But I'm guessing that just because he's like anti-corruption, that he'll be against the new government because he'll think that they're corrupt for like adopting Western practices
hmm.
and partnering with the British.
I I would say I'm on the same boat as you as well. But
Yeah,
there
same.
also like the spygers and the British general that
Yeah,
we
Parks
we
is the
see.
name of that British guy.
Yeah, we see them talking, and we don't even know what role they're gonna play in this whole scheme.
Yep, it's definitely an ambitious episode, introducing so many characters and setting itself so soon after a civil war, like a period of political turmoil and I assume eventually it's going to settle into some monster of the week type stuff as we learn more about Kyoshiro and Parks's plans for Japan, and
Yeah,
it'll slow down, but for now it's a little messy.
yeah. I like the setting well enough. I think the period piece speak to the intriguing of the show, but I at the moment I don't care for any of the characters,
Yeah,
and
yeah, I have pretty much the same opinion.
yeah, and the plot is a fair bit confusing as well.
That I don't really mind.
All right.
it's a problem, but it's the sort of thing that I'm willing to do a little bit of googling about and a little bit of
Yep.
speculating about. So that's okay. But yeah, it's not the best.
Yep. I put it 9 out of 10.
Okay, for me it was number 7.
Yep. Fair enough.
Both of us so far flirting with the very bottom spot. We know your number 8 and 9. We know my
Yep.
number 8 and 9. Actually,
Yep.
both of us have done 7, 8, and 9 already.
Huh.
But
Interesting.
we're not
Yep.
no nobody's pulled the trigger on number 10 yet.
Yep. I put the trigger on my first one, which you haven't.
No, you said that was number 7, right? Bucchigiri?
No, 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 yeah, yeah. But I put the trigger on my first on the
Oh,
top show.
yes, I see what you mean. Not the first show that
Yep.
we talked about, but your number 1 show, Dungeon Meshi.
Right. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I I wonder if how our opinion, differ or similar on this next show, which is arguably like one of the biggest show of this season, Metallic Rouge.
Yeah. So, I mean, this show is undoubtedly by one of the biggest studios, but I'm
Yep,
not sure if I would consider it one of the biggest shows. It is Bones' like 20th anniversary project or something like that.
yep,
Uh,
yep, yep.
but it's not by a particularly big name director. And
Mhm.
judging, based on this first episode, it doesn't have like the full weight. Bones is split into 5 sub studios. They're massive, and I don't think that this show is being handled by one of their like stronger teams.
I see, I see. But I think from what I heard or read somewhere that the director for this show is, like direct some of the episode in Carol and Tuesday.
He was
And
actually
in
the series director of Carol and Tuesday.
all right,
Yeah,
oh
his
wow,
name is
right.
Motonobu Hori.
Hmm. So it's kind of having the same vibe.
Really, it has the
It's the
same, but it does have a little bit of a focus on music.
Yep, yep, and the two main females, who you know maybe doing the music and save the world.
I don't. Do you think that either of the two main girls are musicians? Wasn't that mostly just
No,
reserved for uh, what's her name, Sarah, who's actually
yep, yep, yep.
Purgatory Viola?
All right, well done. Yes,
Yeah, I don't. It's possible that the musical element will continue to recur because
yeah,
there were some shots of the city that there were screens all over the place, of course, because this is supposed to be like a vaguely, well, it's not vaguely, it's set on Mars, so it is very futuristic. Oh, that's
yeah.
another
Yeah,
thing that it shares with Carol
is
and Tuesday. It's set on Mars.
yeah, that's right. Yep,
Huh. I
but
wonder if there were like plot elements recycled from that show, like consciously, if they made that choice to save to maybe they're set in the same universe secretly, like one is a couple centuries after the other or something.
maybe
That'd be an
we
interesting
we
twist.
we yeah, we will wait and see on that. But as far as this episode goes, I like it. I like the design. I like the look of the show. I don't think a lot of people agree with me on this though. It look polished to me.
Huh.
All right.
Polished.
Yep.
Uh the thing that sticks out to me when I think of the show's production or its presentation, the colors.
Yep.
There is so much gray in this
Right.
show.
Mm.
Um, I don't really. I mean, maybe I'm just like Dungeon Meshi and Frieren have messed with my eyes by being so bright and colorful and stuff. But I mean, actually, no. I just watched Pat Labor 2, the movie, which we're going to talk about in a separate episode from this one. And that film is also very very gray, but I feel like even in that movie, there's like the colors are more varied and dynamic than they are in this show. And even when this show is even when Metallic Rouge is like, okay, we're gonna take a break from the oppressive grayness of this future, then if it gets like orange or purple or something, it's very or like everything is orange or everything is
Mm.
purple. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
don't feel clearly that's a conscious decision, but
Mm.
I don't know. I don't really like it very
Yeah.
much, I guess. The character designs are
Mm.
fine though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Naomi's character design is awesome.
yeah,
Love her glasses, her big hair. Um, she's cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. Like I really enjoy all the character design. Their robot design is I still I think I can get behind that. But
It's okay.
not yeah, not not my favorite.
Did
But
you so did you think that the robots were CG like at any point in this episode?
I would say so. Yes.
Okay, interesting. When I watched the PV and I wrote it up for Starcrossed, I was like,
Mm.
the CG looks more than serviceable. Like it looks above average. But then when I watched this episode, I wasn't convinced that they were 3D CG at any point. I was like, huh, is this all traditionally animated?
I don't think
Um,
so.
yeah.
It does look CG to me, but it doesn't stick out in a way that distracting
Oh yeah. I mean, it
from the
looks
fight. Yeah.
they've managed. Japan is obsessed with using 3D CG to create that traditional Japanese look with
Yep.
the very measured line work and stuff. And in this show, if the robots are indeed in CG, like all the time, some of the time, whatever's going on there, it's working because even if the fight choreography is not the absolute best, the just look of the robots is very nice. How they,
Yep.
how they compare to the characters in terms of their designs.
It's
So,
the Yep. I agree with you. It's the characters though that I feel a bit lacking. Like I don't even know like after this episode what Rouge character is gonna is supposed to be. Like why is he fighting? Why is he fighting against uh all these enemies like on Sarah? Is that her name Sarah? Who's like kind of support her, but like she have her own hidden agenda to kill Sarah.
yeah. Well,
I
I
don't get
mean,
it.
the scene where she's sitting on top of the dumpster and Sarah's
Yep.
like, "Oh, look, a cute little orphan girl. I'm going to take her in and da 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 da." That's referred to as Sarah's bad habit by a couple of, I guess, employees at the concert venue where she sings early on in the
Yep.
episode. They're like, that's Sarah's bad habit again." So she's taken in Rouge as one of her assistants or her, I don't know, roadies or something.
Hmm.
And that was a plot by Rouge and Naomi, who
Yep.
may work for an organization called Alethea.
All right.
Alethea is an organization that Galleon said he talks about them a couple times in this episode. He's the insane Joker guy.
Right.
So it may be when you say you have a problem with the characters, I rather think the issue is with the plot the lack of clarity surrounding it. We
Hmm.
know that Rouge and Naomi, whether they work for Alethea or not, however they do their job, we know that they're trying to defeat the Immortal Nine. Um,
Yep.
but why? What's the deal with the
Yep.
Immortal Nine? Why are they the ones who like? What is their motivation for working, like trying to take them down or kill them? What did they do? Why is and who exactly does Galleon work for? Like he's one of the Immortal Nine, but does he have some alliance with some other faction? Why is
Hmm.
he like interfering and trying to frame Rouge for attacking Sarah? It's just very, like, you just don't know. You don't know what's going on. And that's actually kind of classic Bones. Like their older
Hmm.
series, especially from the 2000s. I'm not talking like Full Metal Alchemist, but just stuff like Wolf's Rain, for example. Uh,
Yep.
you start watching Wolf's Rain, you're kind of in the dark as to why, this, what people's motivations are or why this stuff is happening. And there are even more confusing examples, trust me. So, yeah, I kind of like that it's so mysterious and so little is explained just because it reminds me of that era in the studio's history, but it is frustrating at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
the head writer and
mhm.
supervisor, he's got specifically the title of supervisor for the show, is Yutaka Izubuchi, who directed Razifan, which was one of Bone's first
All right.
ever TV anime.
Yeah.
It may have been the first. It may have, no, I think they had one that came before it. But Razifan was, the storytelling was very messy. Um,
Mhm.
I would say I like it on the whole, but it kind of, when you see that he's involved with the show and then you think back to what Razafan was like, it's kind of like, oh, we may not learn the truth of what's happening here for a long time.
Yeah. But I would say that the macho guy will be like the main protagonist. Sorry, the main antagonist of the show.
I think at
Uh,
first, yes, but I think he probably works for somebody who's like more
Higher,
serious and more deadly. But yeah, I imagine we'll see plenty of him like in the early episodes.
right?
He is
Oh.
definitely he's kind of nutty. Uh, the
Yep.
Joker parallels are very very strong. I mean, he even whips out the playing card,
Yep.
the Batman
All right.
influence.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. So I would say I still intrigued by like by the 20 minutes I see so far for Metal Rouge. So I still put it in high on my list.
Okay.
I put it 2 second.
Mm. All right, for me number 5.
Yep. Fair assessment.
Just barely on the side of the dividing line between the good shows and the why did I watch this? Why did I watch this
Yeah.
shows?
Yeah. So you still giving it like a second chance.
I will definitely, you know how I usually do my little bracket thing.
Yep.
At the very least, like I don't know if I'll watch any more of it anytime soon, but I will at the very least try its second and third episodes at some point.
Yep.
Because
It's very
I feel like
interesting.
Izubuchi is a fascinating person in
Yep.
the anime industry. I mean, he's been involved since the '60s. Dude is old, and he's still out
Yep.
here making very modern looking shows like this. So I'm
All right.
interested.
I think I got the rest of your list figured out. But
Oh, I'm correction, '70s, not '60s. He's not that
yep.
old.
Yep.
He's 60. He's in his mid 60s right now.
That's still a you know, fair age. So
Yeah,
he still got like around 10, 15 years more to contribute if, he stay healthy.
right. Yep.
Look at how old Miyazaki now.
Oh
And,
my God, I don't even want to know. He's in his
and
80s.
yeah, and I think he still have one more project he wants to do.
I'm sure. You know the story about what Tezuka said when he was on his deathbed.
No.
The manga artist Tezuka. He's like, I don't know if they were his last words or anything, but when
Yep.
nurses tried to take away his like drawing tools, he would like yell. He would yell at them and say, "Please let me work." And like he died shortly afterwards.
All right.
So
That
maybe Miyazaki
that's
will go down like that.
that's why he do got a manga.
Yeah. Yep.
Damn. All right, let's go to the next show, Sengoku Yoku.
Right.
All
So
right,
this is set in the Eidoku period of Japan, which
yeah,
is like before the Edo period.
yeah.
Um, so
All
the
right,
country is not yet unified.
yeah,
So there are
but do
going to be
you
a lot
know,
of scenes of characters walking around, in the woods, in the forest, between different provinces, I suppose, and not a real
yeah,
sense of national unity yet.
yeah, yeah, yeah. kind of, nice gender pace.
Yeah, I would say
Cause
so.
uh, you know a bit of background about this show though. Uh, it's a it's a manga written by Satoshi Mizukami, the guy
Nuh-uh.
who,
The Biscuit Hammer guy?
yep, him,
Are you sure, dude?
yep,
Sengoku Youko. Wow, he's getting a lot of adaptations recently. Planet with Biscuit Hammer and now this. Are you I'm fact
yep.
checking this right now.
Yeah, Planet With is actually anime original, so he
Right.
is not adapt from his manga, but yeah, he got his manga adapt quite regularly lately, not to the best result.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly I would say that that continues here. The not to the best result thing. I
uh,
don't know what the deal is, man, but he needs to cuz so his work doesn't get published in Shonen Jump. He serializes in a different magazine and it may not even be consistent from work to work. Like I don't know if he's
yep,
always in the same magazine. But of course
yep.
Shonen Jump being owned by is it Kadokawa? Whatever publishing house they're owned by, they have
I do think
connections.
so. Yep.
Yeah, they have
Uh,
connections to the anime and like producers, anime producers who can get like strong directors, strong animation producers. They can get
yep.
the show
That's
situated at a good studio. Mizukami does not have this, or
yeah.
rather,
That's not the
the
case
the
for his at
magazines
all.
that he publishes in do not have this. So that's how we end
Yep.
up with Biscuit Hammers and shit, and this,
Yep.
which I didn't like at all.
Oh, not at all.
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. I think I like uh the concept well enough, like he followed these two who you know, uh, like who have like the special abilities to summon spirits and all that shit. And I don't even know why he following them at the end of.
Because he's the main character and they're the fighters, so he has to
All
stick with
right.
them so he can stay alive
Yeah.
and there can be an anime.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't remember exactly what Yoko and what's the guy's name? Jinka or
Uh-huh.
Yamato? What what exactly they are? Because we know that the gigantic stone thing with legs and a body at the
Yep.
end is called a katawara, but I don't remember the terms that he uses to describe what Yoko and Jinka are.
Yep. Yep.
But in any case, they're they're not human.
Yeah. Uh I think she Tamai is a fox demon.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And I don't
Oh,
know.
Jinka
I
is
don't
a
know Jinka.
sage, right? There was some sort of he's like
Yep.
an ascetic sage, and there's a name for that, but I forget what it is.
Yeah. And he can summon Tama.
Um,
Yep.
well, he like pulls her energy out of her, right, and she becomes like a normal looking human, and he takes her power and gets all white haired and like super strong.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah,
So
so
yep.
that's
I
that's
think
cool.
that's the deal.
That's cool for them. Cool for him.
Mhm. Yep.
But I mean, so this episode is basically split into two halves. There's the Shinsuke, who's the main human character. He stumbles upon them. They end up forming not a partnership, but he follows them around, or they follow him, whatever the case may be. But as that's
Mhm.
happening, so the episode is split into two. There's the part where Shinsuke is like he accompanies them to find the guy who has the demon in his helmet,
Yep.
and then there's the
Yep.
the second part which revolves around the Katawara that Jinka defeats. And in both cases, as I was watching, I was like so underwhelmed. Like it all leads up to a fight. The fight happens. Jinka is victorious because he uses his power. Well, the second one actually ends on a cliffhanger, to be fair. But the first one, like I just wasn't sure what I was supposed to feel, or when he beats the random one-off demon in the guy's helmet. I was just like, well, good, okay, that's good, but I'm still not attached to anything about the series. Not the people in it, not the place where it's set, not the concept of how they fight, or the fact that it's like, there are yokai in it and it's supernatural. I was
Not the
like, I'm
fox
out.
spirit. All right, too
Yeah.
bad.
You
Yep,
know,
yep.
honestly, I would say if I had to speculate, because I don't know exactly why I was like so bored, but if I had to speculate, it might be the animation designs.
Mhm.
Um, like Yoko is, she just looks very plain for a half, for a humanoid half fox spirit. Everybody in the show looks very plain to me. I mean, especially the guy in the green, you know, the main character, Shinsuke, whatever it is he's wearing. Kimono? Um,
Yukata maybe.
maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. I just think, I mean, the animation's not terrible, but the animation designs, like how they were adapted from the manga, I just feel is very, very, very dry. So I can't really get into it visually.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, I still planning to give it some more episodes to yeah, to check out. So I yeah, I put it 6 out of 10.
Okay. For me, it was last.
All right.
Bet you thought it was solo leveling.
I
But
thought
it
it was solo
wasn't.
leveling. Ah. All right. Next one will be solo leveling.
Yeah. So this, I mean, it's not as though I think the show is good by any means. I think
Yep.
the premise is really stupid, but
Yep.
I didn't hate it just because it was like
All right.
competently produced.
I yeah, I just think it's very straightforward the way like the whole thing up pans out. Um, we kind of like get introduced to like the worst all right, the worst, what his name, the worst hunter, the wicked, the the wicked hunters in their histories.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, this is an
Kai.
adaptation of a Korean comic, and as far, I'm not an expert in Korean comics, but from what I have seen,
Yep.
they love the trope of a guy being at like the very, 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 very bottom of the like social ladder or supernatural
Yep.
ladder or whatever, and he has to claw his way up, and that's what this is
Yeah,
going to
right.
be. That's why he's like the weakest hunter of all time.
Yep. And I kind of feel bad for him the way that the episode actually framed him to like to be responsible for like deciding the band to like to just move on, to just like go explore more to get more stuff, and he
Right? Do you
get
remember his
killed.
motivation for making that choice?
Yeah. That was so bad. That
Yeah.
was pretty.
My
That was the
mom's in the
worst.
hospital and I have to put my sister through college.
Yep. And it's kind of weird as well, like the setting that we have like on the dungeon and shit, and then we have like a girls in a school uniform going for college. It
Yeah, you
it
know what
just
it kind of
doesn't
reminds me
classify to
of?
me.
God of High
Which
School.
one? Yeah.
In
Which
that it's like the
also,
setting is very very modern, very worldly. It's just, it takes place on Earth, probably in Korea.
yeah,
But at the same time, whoa, there's like in God of High School, there's crazy like gods that you whose power you can harness and do martial arts and stuff. And in this show, oh, the supernatural gates opening up all over the world. Which begs the question: if the gates, just kind of like open up in the sky one day, as you see in the like the flashback prologue thing, why do all the monsters hide in caves and dungeons and stuff?
yeah. I
Like
think
why?
it's like one of yeah. I think like they said, it's like one of the gate that that maybe just like connect from one world to another, and I think it just like now in the dungeon. That's what I think.
But you see in a flashback as the narrator, the main character, I think is the one doing the narration, as he's
Uh-huh.
explaining, one day 10 years ago, gates opened up, like multiple gates opened up all over the place, and
Yeah.
monsters came into the world. You see a gate open up like in the middle of the sky in an
Yeah.
urban environment, like in a city. So it's
Yeah.
not just that they're, in caves and dungeons and stuff.
Yeah.
Or rather, it shouldn't be, but it is because they just basically want to use RPG mechanics. You know, got to go in a
Yeah.
dungeon, beat the monsters, increase your rank, defeat the
Yeah.
boss. It's like a video game. And that
Uh,
is really shitty, but uh, I don't really mind too much because
yeah.
it's reasonably well directed, I feel.
And on the whole, I just feel that it's more into the shock effect and not have anything to do with,
Wow, I must have was there a lot of gore? I must have blocked it out.
well, like a guy who was technically cut in half, he has his whole head and like and part of his limb, like cutting cleans off.
Do you see it? Do you see like his innards?
Oh wow, we see the remains of like of his body.
And you see that it's cut in half, but you don't get a good look at like, you know, his intestines or anything.
No, no, no. I think it just some of the blood pouring out and
Yeah.
that's it. Like really cleans off.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's gory. I don't. When I think
Yeah.
gore, I
Well,
think like the large intestine
yeah, yeah, yeah,
is out and like all over the ground.
yeah. Hmm.
uh, but yeah, I don't really remember that. Um, I mean, well, if you're trying to attract an audience of like teenagers, violence is one way to do it. Sex is
Yeah,
another,
yeah,
but the show only had violence as far as I remember, and video game
yeah,
mechanics.
yeah, yeah,
Another good way to attract an audience of teenagers.
yeah. I don't know why. Like the system so advanced enough in the 10 years that they can create on the dungeon, but based by by rank. So this is the level of hunter rank D to come in.
Yep.
All that. Yep, does it make lick of sense to me?
Oh.
It just game mechanics.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, in anime and manga and apparently manhwa, um, they just love ranking stuff. You know, this is your rank. This is the rank of the dungeon. This is the rank of the monster. Ranking is important. So much
Yep,
stuff in anime
yep,
like is expressed in terms of percentages. It's I remember playing Zelda Skyward Sword. So I'm a fan of the Zelda video game franchise. And in Skyward Sword, your companion character is somebody who's constantly like interrupting you and saying, "Oh, there is a 90% chance of success in this battle. Oh, there's a 30% chance that." I was
yep,
I was like, "What is this?"
yep.
Uh,
Even even to Evangelion, I think they have like some moment where like the chance of success is 0.00001%.
yep, yep. And then somebody will say, "Well, at least it's not zero."
Yeah,
And then they go in and beat the odds. Yeah, that
yeah,
is
yeah,
that is also yeah. It's coming from the same I don't know mentality. I guess
yeah,
it is kind of weird. I mean, to me as an American or a Westerner, maybe,
yeah. All
but
right.
it's not hurting me, so it's fine.
Yeah. Yep. So solo leveling, I just feel like the whole premise is dumb. I don't care any of the characters. It does end on a good cliffhanger. So I'm thinking of just checking in a bit of the second episode to see how the main character get out of all that.
He probably awakens a mysterious power or something.
Yep. Yep.
that he's had all along, and he's going to use it so that he's no longer rank E. He's going to
The
be rank
weakest.
S.
Yep, yep, yep.
He's going to
All
take
right, so
revenge on all those people who made fun of him.
I put it last.
Yeah, for me, it was sixth.
All right. Next one is our favorite previous last year show,
Mm-hmm.
Frieren.
Frieren.
Yep,
Frieren. So by process of elimination, we can see that you rank the last two shows third and fourth in some order, and I rank them first and second in some order.
that's right.
So we have
That's right.
similar opinions about them. Uh,
Yep.
yeah, this episode of Frieren. I mean, it's the because the cliffhanger of episode 16 was Cyan hears from an old woman who used to like care for him and his friend Gorilla. I'd
Hmm.
forgotten that his name was Gorilla, but she used to like I don't know. They used to visit her house, or she would watch over them or care for them in some way. And so she knows where his friend is. He's gotten this information, and now he has the choice. He has the opportunity to leave his current party with Frieden, Fern, and Stark, and go find this gorilla guy.
Yep.
And you would think it would, oh, this is going to be like a big decision for him, but it really, I was refreshed by the fact that he just leaves midway through the episode. There's not like a big emotional goodbye. He just says, "I'll see you. I'll see you later." Um,
Yep.
and I mean, maybe he will, maybe he won't. He probably will, but that's kind of how like a lot of goodbyes go in life. You say see you later or until next time, knowing that that
I
might not happen. That's just like a normal part of life.
Yeah, I really like that goodbye scenes. Like it's uh no fuss at all. It just see you, and then they gone on their way, which I
Yeah.
think make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. He is an adult traveling with
Yep.
a super mega adult and two children.
Yep.
So he's
A
not
super
he's not a
mega
perfect fit.
Yeah, a super mega adult who still act like a child sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was part of the plot of this episode as well, was that even when, you know, I mean there were a couple instances. How would I phrase it? And of course there's the fight that Fern and Stark have, and Frieden can't resolve it, so she just comes to the bar where he's drinking, and she's like, "Get back here! I need you to handle this. I can't handle this." He acts, she, he acts as the adult in that situation rather than Frieden. And then there's another point in the episode where Frieden is like sleepy. I think this is maybe after Cyan has already left, but Frieden is sleepy, and Stark is like, "Please get up. Fern is sick. I need your help," and she just won't get up.
Yep, 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 yep. I love that trait of her.
Yeah, she's just
I
tired, dude. I mean, she's been alive for a millennium or something. Just let her sleep. But
Yeah,
to be fair, you
I wake
gotta
up
like
in
it.
12 hours.
Yeah,
I will be awake in 12 hours. Yeah, that's what she said.
yeah. Need to get this elf some coffee.
Yeah. 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 So I thought this gonna be like another adventure, but it more like a step back. Like they got stranded by uh
Another
yeah
blizzard.
they yeah another blizzard, so they have to like just basically stay uh off action for like for that much majority of time. I think which is like in a few months, and that give uh that gives Shane a time to like to spend more time with these three people, but actually they didn't really spend that much time together.
Yeah,
which which I mean which I think is a bit funny as well. But yeah, do you think that he gonna come back to the gang?
I don't know if he'll rejoin the party, but surely we'll see him again. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I do think so as well. So I would think that they gonna check on his progress. Maybe he will fight gorillas. Maybe not. But yeah, I don't think he gonna join them for to be like a original member or anything. But he does like have like a certain role that Frieren cannot, which
Yeah.
like demonstrate very well in these episodes.
Yep. Yeah, and they'll have to go without temporarily. They
Yep.
won't have a priest. He left behind the little book of herbs that is helpful in diagnosing Fern's condition
Yep.
and what medicine they can make out of nearby plants to help her get better.
Yep.
So
Yep.
he's left behind a little bit of knowledge for them to remember him by.
Hmm.
But for now, I mean, he's off to do his own thing. And I mean, he was probably also frustrated by the fact that Fern and Stark uh, won't get together. In
Yeah.
this
Well,
in this episode, he's like when he's drinking at the bar, just start dating already.
yeah. Well, when he had to deal with like a 15, 16 years old kids who cannot shut out their feeling, I think this is like a correct response.
I actually think that at this point, Fern is 18
All right.
because there's
All
a
right.
certain point in this episode where I don't know who says it, but somebody says it's 2 years until adulthood, and in Japan, you're considered an adult at 20.
Or I think at 16, maybe you have that backward. Like they consider they can get married at 16, so see 2 years into adulthood, so that means 18.
No, in Japan, I'm pretty sure you. Well, I mean, I suppose it depends on the time period and like the region or the culture or whatever. But I believe she was
Yep.
16 when they set out on the adventure,
Right.
and we know
Right.
2 years have passed because every time
Yep.
they travel to a new location, it says 20 so and so years since the death
After
of
he made
Himmel
it.
the hero.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and initially when they first left, it said 27 years, and now just recently, I think in this episode, it started to say 29.
Yep.
So I think she's 18 and Stark is like 19 or 20. But
Yep.
I could be wrong about that. I hope that's what they are because them being old, I would appreciate that as like an old man, as a fossil myself. Uh, fewer 16-year-olds and 15-year-olds in anime is fine by me.
Hmm.
But in any case, I mean, the show, whatever their age is, whether they're like whether they're adolescents, like in their mid teenage years, or whether they're about to graduate to being quote unquote adults, the
Yep.
show manages to avoid most silly tropes and stuff. So that is probably the important thing.
Yep. Yep. And we get like the hand holding things, like when she gets sick. And we get into the flashback where Frieren remember that she once gets sick and that Hime who's like who's the one who hold her hand when she's sick. And
Right.
I think that's factor to why she doing that to Fern.
Yep.
And that factor to why first is a little bit embarrassed when she keep doing that. So she said like I'm already an adult, don't treat me like a child and all that.
Right.
So yeah, I think like all the character reaction are really like really down to earth and really relatable in a sense. And like it, the moment that Frieren like still holding her hand and Fern say that like I'm an adult now, and she said like yeah I know. It's like a kind of acknowledgement that it really end very well.
Yeah. And just because you're an adult doesn't mean that touch, like
You
physical communication, is not an important part of your life.
Yeah, that is exactly that.
Yeah. And I think oftentimes when I like analyze characters, I will think of, in a Freudian sense, I'll think of their relationship with their parents,
Yep.
because that's one of the first like psychological frameworks you're taught when you start to study that sort of thing. They teach you about Freud.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So in this, and I'm not talking about like incest, not on that level. I'm just like in general, people's relationships to their parents will determine like
Yep.
their temperament, their personality, stuff like that. So
Hmm.
in this episode, when Fern is like resistant to Frieren comforting her physically, that
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense to me because she was orphaned at a young age and she was raised by afterwards when she was adopted by, oh man, what's his name? Shit.
The priest.
Yeah, the priest. Why can't I remember his Hater, right? Hater. Hi
Yep.
or hi Hater.
Hater. Yeah.
Um, when she's adopted by him, at that point she's brought up, raised by a man. But Frieren is a mother figure to her now, and she's not accustomed to receiving that physical affection or communication from a feminine presence. So it makes sense to me that she would resist that. She would be unfamiliar with it and wouldn't necessarily appreciate it or know how to process it.
Hmm.
Um, so Frieden has to go like the extra step and acknowledge the fact that she's maybe made uncomfortable by it or doesn't appreciate it because she feels as though she's being like belittled or infantilized. But Frieden just like holds her ground, and
Hmm.
says, "You're sick. We're gonna take care of you, and I'm gonna hold your hand anyway." So
Yep.
that's nice. I think the scene makes sense to me on that level.
Yep.
Um, and
And even
there's
like
also
the
the fact that touch is a theme throughout the whole episode because in the A part with the
yep,
disagreement
that's right.
between Stark and Fern, she also is like startled, I guess, by the fact that he puts his hand on
Just
her
casually
shoulder
touch
like
her.
that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
a lot of Frieden episodes actually have like a particular theme or through line that unites the various stories. Like whether there's two
Hmm.
stories or three stories in an episode, there will
Right.
be something that connects them like that,
I
which I
don't even
appreciate.
make that connection. But I really enjoy the ride, you know.
Yeah. If
So
I
so
yeah,
it's
you
had
can
like
you can go back and if you keep an eye out for them, you'll see them. I can't call all of them to memory right now, or even any of them besides this one. But I know,
yep.
like if I went back and looked at my notes, I know they're there.
And that cherry tree, the icicle cherry trees,
Hmm.
it look gorgeous as well.
Oh, totally agree. Yes, one of the highlights of the episode for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, this Frieren is in the tradition of Western fantasy, but it's written by a Japanese person, so you got to get some sakura blossoms in there somehow, of course.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, I
Yep.
mean,
That's true.
yeah, you're exactly right. It looks beautiful.
Yep. All right. I reckon you put it first.
I actually did not.
Oh wow. Right.
Number two.
All right. It's number three for me.
Okay. So then we know the scores, the ranks for the final
Yep.
show. Yubisaki to Renren. That's hard to say.
Yep.
Renren.
Yubisaki to Renren.
Yeah.
Renren.
A sign of affection, which is just a very nice play on words because she signs, she knows sign language. A
Yep.
sign of affection. Yeah,
I
I
I
really
was
liked this.
all right. I like it too. Uh, one try a bit try now. With me for the episode is just that it play a bit more like like the K drama, the Korean romance drama that like I used to watch a fair bit when I was a kid.
Yeah, the fact that one of the characters suffers from some sort of, or maybe suffers is not the politically correct word, but one of
It
the characters has some sort of disability,
yeah
and
it
that factors
it's
into
more
how difficult the relationship is, but they persevere anyway, something like that.
yeah it's more like the way that they meet like the best the love interest that like too good for her and just like show uh and a kind of affection to her as well, you know. But it's not a way to, you know, talk down this episode, because I think this episode does a really good job at establishing Yuki as a, you know, like a character that we would uh following around,
Yeah.
and the relationship she got with that guy, who's, you know, like I just feel like really intimacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
yep,
nice. Plus, they're
good on them.
college students.
Yep.
Yay!
And
Gotta
we
love
didn't
that.
know, and yeah, we didn't know about her condition at first, because we all we hear is her monologue, her narration, which I think is a good way to, you know, like introduce the characters, because we all hear her in the in the voice, until, you know, like that happened, like, you know, like someone should pump into her and ask her for direction, and she couldn't hear it. But we didn't pick up that at first either, until we see the hearing aid.
Yeah.
we uh we see that, and we kind of make the connection that yeah, she couldn't hear very well.
Don't you see her hearing aids before the guy bumps into her on the train or asks for
I
directions or
I
something?
Yeah, I don't really make that connection either. So I thought that she was just, you know, like wearing an earphone and listen to the music, and so that.
Oh, okay. Well, I previewed the manga for this one,
Right.
or the first couple chapters, so I, I knew I didn't get the
Yep.
opportunity to be surprised. Um, and it's it
It wasn't
it
a surprise
you
for
know, I
me.
could be misremembering. It's possible that we actually don't see her hearing aid before that point.
Yep.
But yeah, in any case, it is nice. Like the idea that she has her own world, you know, because
Hmm.
the show uses that term both in her own, I guess mostly in her own narration.
Yep.
This is my world, where sound is muffled, is nice, and the way that the guy, the foreigner on the train, the gaijin, uh, like kind of intrudes on her world, and she has to um, worry, you know, about
Yep.
whether he'll understand that she can't speak or anything like that. The I you do see her worry at several points throughout this episode. That's one of them early on. But there's another um, point where she is like feeling self doubt and anxiety that I really liked. It's the scene where she goes with Rinchan to
Yep.
the restaurant, I guess, or
Uh-huh.
I think it's a
I think
restaurant.
it's like bar. It's more like bar.
Is it okay?
Or is that
A cafe,
a cafe? Yeah.
something like that. And she goes there, and she, you know, the group of gaijin come in, and they sit at the table behind her, and she's preoccupied with thoughts about them, like, oh, wow, Itsuomi, the white-haired guy.
Yep.
He interacts with them so naturally. That's really impressive. That so she's distracted by that. Then when she turns back to look at her friend, she is already exchanging contact information with the owner of the cafe who she likes.
Yep.
So at that point, she's like, okay, well, me too. I got to get Itsuomi's details as well. That
Hmm.
from that point until the moment where she decides, like, it cuts to the exterior of the restaurant, the cafe, and she's like, in the end, I couldn't do it. That whole sequence is really, I was just so impressed by it.
Yep.
Because
Hmm.
there's like the motif of the fan, the ceiling fan, which is in multiple
Yep.
shots. It's traveling in a circular pattern. It never deviates from that pattern. It's kind of like she's trapped in uh, a way of thinking that's going to prohibit her from going off track.
Hmm.
And all the shots of other people smiling, laughing, talking. Well, obviously Yuki can smile, but you see shots of people laughing and talking, which are things that she can't share in. She can't do that, so she feels excluded. Um,
Hmm.
it's just really felt for her during that little sequence.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's, you know, of course after that, Itsuomi comes in as he's walking her home. He comes in with the smooth line via text and
Oh, damn,
encourages her to
that
let
was so
him into
smooth.
her world.
Yeah, yeah. I thought immediately to my girlfriend, but that that I could use some line like that. She's
Well,
so
first
smooth.
first she has to lose her hearing or like lose one of her senses. So she has her own world that you can enter.
Yeah. Wow.
But
So yeah,
honestly, I mean that line is whether you feel it's smooth or not. That's the sort of line that would depend on how the person looks, who's like whether they're attractive enough to pull it off. Because it's not like a guaranteed winner. you
yeah.
gotta
But
be you gotta be you know you kind of gotta be tall. You gotta be hot. You gotta be something in order to pull that
you
off.
got you got to be white hair and
And plump lips.
yep, yep.
Oh yeah.
But in in any case, it Yuki reaction that actually like the highlights out of that scene for me because it
Mm.
just jump in joys and
Yeah, that was interesting. I wonder if she actually did that, if that really happened, or if
but
that was kind of a
but all right.
representation of her interior world, like
Uh,
how she felt.
all right, I do think that it happened because we get to see that from Isumi perspective, and he was kind of a bit surprised by her, like her her jumping of joy as well.
Oh,
That's what I
okay.
remember.
Huh.
Yeah,
I missed that. The
yeah,
I guess what I focused on was the fact that the screen got a lot brighter, colors got a lot brighter
yep,
during
yep,
that
yep. It
scene,
was.
and at several other points in the episode, we see those same bright colors, and it's
Mhm.
implied that she's like in her own world, like other people are not necessarily privy to what's happening in those moments.
Yep, yep.
Um, but I mean, he is the love interest, so maybe he's like uniquely able to uh, perceive what happens during those brightly colored scenes.
Mhm. And one thing that I want to mention as well is the way that it handles Isumi touch to Yuki. It, like he does some of these, like gestures to get Yuki attention because Yuki couldn't hear. And Yuki did mention herself that, like even though he act like that, she still feel the warmth of his hand and all that. So we're talking about the touch again just after free rent, and I
Right?
think
Yeah.
I just consider that it is like the right kind of touch as well. It's kind of like very sensitive now. Like I walking the team line here, but I still think that it feel positive the
I don't.
way that he does.
I mean, I don't think you're at any risk of like saying the wrong thing. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a shoujo or perhaps josei, uh, you know, manga that's
Yeah.
been adapted to an anime, and you know, it's in a lot of
Yeah.
shoujo manga, there are guys who are like, very touchy feely because
Mhm.
some women appreciate that. Uh,
Huh. Yeah.
it's true. Some don't, So there are
Yeah.
some girls who would be like kind of grossed out or skeeved out by Itsuomi because he's so, like there's the scene when they're in the cafe where in order to get he doesn't like gesture to her or like wave
Yeah.
at her while she's reading the menu. He takes his palm, puts it on her forehead and like
Yeah.
raises up her head,
Yeah.
To,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
I could never do something like that. Uh, but
And
Itsuomi is tall, solidly built, handsome, confident, and speaks three languages. So he can maybe pull that off. Um,
I I
I
just think
can't do
that
that.
this is something. Yeah. I just think that this is not something that he does very often as well. It's just that he does to Yuki because to the fact that he want to communicate with her.
Yeah,
So he doing that. But yeah,
yeah. That
I
that
think
does factor in. That factors into it. Yeah, but he's
yeah.
also because he like there's a reference to the fact that he was recently in Canada. I think Rinchan says He was recently
Oh.
backpacking in Canada. He's just come back to Japan. So he has been
Mm,
to a lot of foreign countries, it seems,
mm.
because he's part of the international club at their university.
Yep,
And
yep.
he may even, given his white hair and his height, it's possible that he is like half Japanese. He could have been
Mm,
raised elsewhere. In any
mhm,
case,
mhm.
he has familiarity with and exposure to other cultures that may be more physically oriented than
Yep.
than in Japan.
Japan. Yep, yep.
So
Great.
yeah, it's it. Yeah, I mean, watching this in the year 2024 now, not 2023 anymore, but it's in current year. You see somebody, like being handsy. You see a character being a male character being handsy with a female character. You're like, I don't know about that. The red
Yeah,
flag goes
yeah,
up.
yeah,
But
yeah,
what really matters, it's important to take into account how the other person might feel, but it's
yeah,
it's it's equally important what your intentions are, and I think his intentions are good.
yeah. And and that brings me back to like the good old like 20, 30 years ago where this kind of thing is kind of like normal. We don't give any red flag about that.
Well,
And
yeah.
sometimes I think it's for the better. Like sometimes they do act like a sexual predator, but sometimes it just I just think that somehow this in this current time we take that a bit too sensitively.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of cultural sensitivity that has come with the rise of like social media, the internet, and the prioritization of diverse voices. Listening to
Mhm,
women a little bit more when it comes to this subject, and I think those
mhm.
those are good things more or less. But yeah, they're eh,
Yep.
I
So
think it's okay.
yep.
It's okay the way that things are going right now, and things were all right back then too. We've made some progress in areas and not so much in others. I'm not
Yep.
really like a sociologist or anything. I'm not qualified to speak on it. I just really like
Yep.
this episode of anime.
Yep. 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 I also agree that I really like Yuki as a character. I really like like her in the world, in the voice, and the way she attracted to Izumi, and I think that they like so far they make a really cute pair. So yeah, looking forward to more of that.
Yeah. Yep. She's
I
uh she's she's deaf, but she's not like she doesn't retreat into her shell
voiceless.
all the time. She's
Yeah,
confident
yeah.
enough and old enough because, again, thankfully, this is a college series where Rin-chan's like, okay, let's go to this cafe where he works part time. We're gonna get you his contact info, and Yuki doesn't just like blush and stutter and stuff. She's like, all right, let's go. She doesn't
Yep,
charge in guns blazing or anything, but she is self assured enough and brave enough to be like, okay,
yep.
yes, I'll go with you. Let's do it.
I I do think that they serve alcohol in there as well, so that make it less a cafe and more of a bar.
Yeah,
You
they
know.
do sell alcohol, and she writes on her whiteboard, "I'm still 19, so can I have oolong tea instead?" I'm pretty sure
Yep,
that's what
yep,
she wrote.
yep, yep, yep. So yep. Just consider that she's just 1 year older than Fern.
Right. Yes. If I'm correct about her
Yeah.
age.
I think you are on the right track there.
Yeah. Well, there. Yeah.
So
She's
yes,
not really an adult, but she is a recognizably confident human person
mhm,
and not
yep,
a mess of like sweat drops and blush marks and stuff like that.
yep. So as you might figure out, I put it 4 out of 10.
Yeah, for me is number one.
Very nice, very
Number
nice.
one. I thought about putting Frieren first, but I could have put it first, but like that would have been a little bit boring.
Yep, yep. So yeah, I can see that you do like half and half. So like the top five is
From Metallic Rouge on up,
yep.
Bucchigiri,
This the one that
Dungeon Meshi, and the two we just did.
yep.
Yeah, and
Question
then the
number
other ones I
six.
will probably never watch again.
Solo leveling. All right. Yep. I can see that. So we're gonna pick out of these 10 and one more show that we're gonna pick for like the three show that we're gonna talk in the end as the seasonal review.
What is this one more show that you're mentioning?
That's gonna be the Great Pretender the second season that will out in Netflix. I
Oh, I
think
regret to
in
inform you.
March.
That's a
All
movie.
right. Oh, is it?
Yep.
Oh, wow, that
It might be
very
one of those
interesting.
situations where it's like 4 episodes combined into a movie, but no, it's not a full series.
That's that still work out for me as well. You know, like I would say that Great Pretender work really well as a like at a small chunk.
Yeah, I mean the original show was split up into 4 arcs, most of which were 4-ish episodes. It was the other one that was longer, the last one.
Yeah.
So
All
this will
right.
be
I just
another
check.
another little arc of Great Pretender.
All right. That still works for me. So
There actually
even with
is
like
what's up?
yeah, even with like three show that out of these 10, I think we can still safely put on the three show that we like that we will enjoy for the rest of of the season.
Right. There actually is
Yeah.
another show um, that's airing soon that isn't in
In
this group of
Netflix as
10.
well.
I think it's Adult Swim. It's Ninja Kamui
Yep.
by what is his
Somehow,
name? Park? Sejun Park? Or
yep.
it's not Sejun, is it? I can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah, I just come into that new as well just this morning when I scroll down all these all the shows. So yeah, they're gonna be Ninja Kamui.
Yep. Oh, it's Sunghu Park. Sejun Park is actually the name of a Pokemon player. So that's why I got them mixed up.
Yeah,
Apologies. Yeah. Sunghu Park, like the God of High School's Jujutsu Kaisen season 1 guy.
yeah,
Ninja Kamui is going
yeah,
to come out. So we can, watch the first episode of that, see if it's any good.
yeah,
Perhaps
yeah,
it'll get coverage in the future. Who's to say?
yeah. So good to be. So these guys our 10 show for the 2024 winter season.
Yep. We'll be back in March, late March.
Bye for now, guys.
See you later.